Did any of you share a room with a sibling growing up? If you've never had to do that, I will speak from my own experience. It's the worst. If you're a neat person and they're messy, it's a disaster. If you like to go to sleep, but they like to stay up, it's annoying. If you want to listen to rock music when you get ready, but they love country music, it's a problem. I dreamt of the day when I'd be older and able to afford a house that was big enough to give me a room that was all mine. And then when I got married, I found myself facing the same reality all over again. Even in the best possible scenarios, there's something about sharing a room, about not having a space that's mine, that just isn't always easy. Maybe you feel the same way about your room situation, or maybe for you it's something else. Maybe you're thinking, I can't wait to have a car that's just mine, or I can't wait to be able to afford to go on a trip with my friends, or I can't wait to get an office that's mine. The point is, we all want to have something of our own, something we can call mine. Usually when we think of having something that's mine, it's something that doesn't include anyone else. But when it comes to having a faith of your own, things work a little differently. And that's because experiencing faith for yourself isn't the same as experiencing faith by yourself. Having a faith of your own doesn't mean you never listen to anybody else. In fact, part of growing in faith is inviting other people on the journey with you, maybe even more than you think. When I was younger, most of the Christians I knew were older people. My parents, my grandparents, their friends. That is, until I met Jill. Meeting Jill totally changed the way I saw faith. She made faith seem bigger, better, more interesting and real to someone like me. I wanted to be just like her. She was the first cool Christian I had ever met. Then in college, I met Jen, who took me under her wing. For years, we'd meet and talk every week about how faith worked in areas like dating, school, and difficult situations. Like Jill, Jen changed the way I viewed faith. Then I met a married couple at my church who were a little older than me. Their names were John and Joy, and I hung out at their house a lot. Over dinner, we talked about things like what it meant to live out a life of faith around people who saw things differently. I learned so much about how to love people and have a real relationship with God from those dinners with John and Joy. Looking back, I can see how God used those relationships to intersect with my faith story. I have a faith of my own, but these people will always be major characters in my journey. This is true for almost everybody who has a faith of their own. Whenever you hear a story about someone's journey toward God, you usually hear about a relationship. And not just with God, but with another person. Maybe you've experienced this too. Maybe your journey has involved someone who invited you to church, to small group, or to a Bible study. And because of that, it changed the way you think about God. It impacted the way your faith has grown to where it is today. This could be someone who impacted you with one conversation, or maybe it was a person who invested in your life consistently over a period of time. Maybe it was someone who you watched and observed, someone who lived in a way that just seemed different than everyone else. Or maybe it's someone who is a significant part of your life, like a spouse, a best friend, or a sibling. No matter who it's been for you, the point is this: the people around us affect our faith. That's true in both positive and negative ways. Just like the right people can move our faith in the right direction, the wrong people can move our faith in the wrong direction. You've probably seen that happen. Maybe you have friends who used to be all about their faith, but as life changed, so did the way they live. It's not that they're bad people. It's just obvious that the way they feel about their faith isn't the same anymore. So, as we consider what this means for finding a faith of our own, here are the big questions. If the people around us have a huge impact on our lives and our faith, how do we find the right people who can help us? To help us here, I want to look at an ancient piece of wisdom. It's called the Book of Proverbs and was mostly written by King Solomon, who the Bible says is one of the wisest people who ever lived. And even though the advice is old, it's amazing how relevant it is to our lives right now. Check this out. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. If you had to pick a verse every Christian should memorize before getting into any relationship, be it friendship, dating, coworker, marriage, teams, even small groups, it might be this one. The people you choose to spend time with will affect your life. Hang out with the wise, You'll become smarter and do life better. Hang out with fools, and you'll get hurt. The Apostle Paul talked about a similar idea when he wrote to the early church in Corinth. Now, this was a church full of people who had decided to follow Jesus. And like most humans, they were also having a hard time stopping the things they had been doing before they became Christians, things that people around them continued to do. Paul wrote this: "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." If you want to move in a better direction, spend time with people who want the same thing. The wrong influences will impact you in ways that cause negative behaviors and outcomes. And just as anyone who walks with the wise will be wise, anyone who walks with fools will be foolish. You've probably seen this happen before. Maybe you've had a dating relationship influence you toward choices you never thought you'd make. Or maybe you got close with a coworker who didn't take their work seriously, and before you knew it, you were doing the same. Maybe you've seen friends change, or your spouse change, or your kids change, all because the people they were spending time with. Walk with the wise and you'll grow wise, but keep bad company and you'll find your character eventually corrupted. We may hear that and think, wait, aren't we supposed to love everyone? And that's true, but even though Jesus calls us to love everybody, we don't have to be close with everybody. We don't have to date or marry just anybody. We don't have to trust everybody's advice. We don't have to spend our weekends with that new somebody in our lives. This isn't a call to be exclusive or judgmental. It's a call to be wise about who you keep close. Because if the people around us affect us, then we should be careful about who they are. And this is equally true for people who are a good influence. Look back to the book of Proverbs one more time. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. We don't work much with iron in modern times, but chances are good that you probably have a set of steak knives in the kitchen. Over time, those knives get dull, and if you want to sharpen them, you get a stronger piece of metal and strike the two of them against each other. The two metals interacting with each other will make the knife sharper. This is also true wisdom when it comes to the people around us. Stronger friends make us stronger. Strong friends make us sharper and better at whatever we're doing, including our faith. That's why if we want to develop a faith of our own, we have to be wise about who we invite to be part of that journey with us. Think of it this way. If you want a faith of your own, you can't build it alone. This is why small groups are such a big deal. Every time you meet, it provides an opportunity for you to sharpen each other. You can challenge each other and grow together. Making the decision to engage with your small group every week, it's like saying, God, I can't create these relationships on my own, but I trust that if I put myself in their path, you can make change happen. And trust me, you need this. Maybe not right now, but there will come a point when life gets confusing or difficult. There will be a time when your faith feels weak and fragile. Whether it's a big decision or a painful mess, you'll want to know that someone who can encourage you to keep going and growing in faith is just a text message away. That's why one of the best things you can do for your life and your faith this week is to simply engage in small group. And I'm not just talking about physically showing up. Maybe you need to show up mentally. Take a break from your phone and be all there when you're there. Maybe you need to start showing up for the people in your small group by actually hanging out with them outside of your time together at church. Set up a meal, grab a coffee, do something you enjoy together. Maybe you've been holding back because you don't know anyone that well, or you're afraid they'll say no, and I get it. But if you want to grow your faith with people who are doing the same, take a step and put yourself out there. Maybe you need some one-on-one attention. Maybe you're dealing with some things that are too difficult to figure out alone, or you really want to take your faith to the next level. Either way, you need some help. Today is a great day for you to start a conversation with a small group leader. Ask them to walk this part of your journey with you. Invite them to encourage you, to challenge you, to pray for you, and to hold you accountable in this season. And as you do, watch how your faith grows as a result. Maybe you know someone who could really use some encouragement. Is there someone in your life who could use some truth spoken to them? Maybe your next step is to approach that person, hang out with them, and allow God to use you to encourage them. Not only does that simple step have the potential to grow their faith, but it will likely do the same for you too. Remember, if you want a faith of your own, you can't build it alone. God has been using relationships to reach and grow us through the very beginning of time. It's one of the big ways He helps us grow our faith. And if we want a faith of our own, one of the biggest decisions we'll make is who plays a major role in our lives. Think about the relationships in your life that draw you closer to God. Who do you wish you could spend more time with because you want your faith to look like their faith? Now, what are you going to do about it? Are you willing to take a step, make someone a priority, and invite them into your life? In doing so, you may just find that nothing grows your relationship with God like a relationship with someone else.